Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from Sierra T Designs, and today I have this Distress sprayed and Copic colored gnome card to share with you. So let's jump right in. So we're going to create the background to start. And I'm going to use the Moon Mask. And this one already has some adhesive on it. This had adhesive from the last time I used it, which was my last spray video. It already had some, I think I used Tombow Mono Multi-Glue on the back because it's a repositionable glue. So I just put that onto a piece of Distress Watercolor Cardstock. And then for my colors that I'm kind of using to create my background sky, I have, this is Villainous Potion that I just added this dress spray. And then I also used a Fortune Teller, which was the Halloween color from this year, and Hocus Pocus, which was the Halloween color from last year. So those are the Mica sprays. So you can't get Hocus Pocus right now. But Tim Holtz did say that they would be bringing that out again next year. So that's pretty cool. So I created this background intentionally with purples because I knew that my focal images were going to be like yellow and orange, and the complementary color to yellow is purple. So, and purple is my favorite color. So I figured it would be a really cool background for this kind of a scene card that I was kind of trying to make. So I did create my background. You saw with all those sprays, I only did one layer of color, and then I started to dry it around the circle so that it wouldn't bleed too much and still kind of hold that circle-esque look. And then I just brought in a little bit of water and kind of misted it in the center of my circle to get the purples to kind of seep into the middle there and create kind of like a cloudy effect. I love this effect. I've seen it done now several times. I think I made my first card with it last year, which was inspired by an Amy R from Prairie Paper and Ink video, but I've seen Tim Holtz do them. I've seen multiple people do them at this point, so they're so cool and such a neat way to make a background. So definitely something to worth trying out if you have any sprays. I find they're easier to work with sprays. I haven't tried it with ink, so I don't know what that would do, but sprays, it's actually a really cool way to make a background. So especially for a Halloween card. So when I was making this card, I realized that I had this stamp set that I bought last year and it didn't get here in time to use. So I really wanted to use it this year. I think that currently it is out of stock. I think because Amy R did a video using this stamp set recently. So I'm not surprised they're out of stock, but currently it is out of stock. But it doesn't say that it's not coming back. So if it's something that you really want, I'm sure you could do the notify option, and then they'll let you know when it comes back in. But it is the Simon Says Stamp Halloween Gnomies stamps, and I have the matching dies as well. And I realized also that I hadn't Copic colored in a long time in one of my videos. So I thought that it would be really fun to bust out a stamp set I hadn't used and some Copic markers to just kind of have some fun coloring. So I started off by stamping out my image. I'm using the little girl gnome on the broom because I really wanted to have her flying in front of the moon, and the stars. So I have the stars stamped here twice. I'm going to stamp them out 3 times for each star, so there's going to be 6 stars when I'm done. But I left my stamps in my Misti so that we could go back and stamp them again so that I could have a bolder black outline to these images. I used Memento Tuxedo Black and I used some HammerMill Cardstock because they're both Copic safe. But I do find as you Copic color, sometimes the ink just doesn't stay bold black. So I like to kind of leave my stamps in the Misti, and then I can go and restamp them, which is pretty cool. So for the colors, I'm kind of showing them on the screen there, but I'll go through them as well. So for my yellows that I used on the stars, I have Y06, Y08, and Y19. And then for my oranges, I have YR04, YR16, and YR09. And then for my earth tones, which I'm going to use for the hair and the broom and the skin, so I have a bit of a different mix here. So I have E42 and E23 that I used for the skin, and then I used E23, E25, and E27 for the hair. And then I also used E25, E27, and E29 for the broom. So there's only 5 colors there, but I used them kind of with a darker shade in different areas. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. And then for the kind of gray look or the silver-esque pieces, I used N1, N3, and N5, which are neutral grays. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. If you guys have any questions about the Copic markers or anything at all, I always respond to all my comments. Sometimes it does take me a little bit to get back because life is just, there seems to never be enough time in the day, but I do always respond to all the comments and any questions, and I love to read what you guys leave there. So if you ever are curious about anything or have any questions or want to know any information about anything, leave them and I'll happily answer them. And I always have everything I use linked and listed down below as well. And if you use those links, I get a small commission at no extra cost to you. So just so you're aware. But yeah, so I'm going to kind of color up the broom here, and then I'm going to put it back in my Misti. See, this is... well, it can be a bit concerning to get it to stamp exactly in the right place, but I always try to make sure that it's lined up really nicely so that I will get a beautiful stark black impression. And I did use my Versafine Onyx black ink for this, just because I think it's one of the darkest inks I own, like the blackest of black inks, and I really wanted a bold outline. So then I have the matching dies, so I'm going to run them through my Switch die cutting machine, and I just have a standard multi-purpose plate, or base I guess it is, and then standard plates, and then I have a magic mat underneath. So I've just found this to be a great sandwich for me. It's cutting through everything without me having to replace the plastic mats all the time, which I find that a little frustrating. I know they're consumable and I totally get it, but if I can save a little bit of money and there's something that's in the crafting industry that I can use, I'm kind of going to use it. So this magic mat was awesome. I think I own a couple of them now. I think I have 3 of them now, just because scrapbook.com had a sale on them at one point, so you could get 2 for, I don't even know, it was a really inexpensive, but so I think I have 3 now, and they're really easy because if they warp, you can bring your heat tool to them, and that will help them get their shape back. And then I decided I really wanted to matte my image, which if you've been here a minute, you know is not surprising. However, you might find it surprising that I didn't use black. I brought in some SSS Stamp Slate gray cardstock, so it's a darker gray, and I just thought that this would kind of look nice with the colors I already had going on. You could use black, absolutely. I use black a lot, and I have some colored cardstock, so I thought it could be kind of fun to use something different. So I trimmed it down to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than my base, and then my panel is about 1/4 inch smaller than my base. So that kind of gives you an idea of how small the layers are. And then I'm going to stamp out my sentiment. So this is going to say Happy Halloween. I used the stamps out of the stamp set, and the Halloween word has a matching die. So I thought it would be kind of fun and fitting to use it on the same gray slate cardstock. And I did also, there's a little happy stamp set that I'm going to trim down later. But I just, I don't generally make Halloween cards, but there was a matching word die, and I think that's one of my weaknesses. I love word dies. Like, I love matching word dies. I love how versatile that makes a sentiment. So that kind of ends up sucking me in and making me want to use things that I generally wouldn't use. So I just ran that through my Switch as well, which cut it out beautifully. And then that's kind of all I'm going to do for the sentiment for this piece. I did run my little gnome through the Gemini here. You can see, or Gemini, the Switch twice more with the same HammerMill cardstock. This was just to add some layers. I wanted it to kind of look like she had some dimension and some depth to her. So I did run her through 2 more times to just have those layers that I can do. You could do the same effect with foam if you wanted to, but I like this kind of look. I think that just ends up looking really nice, and you don't have to play with finicky pieces of foam to get those smaller areas. So this is kind of my way to do if you have the matching die. It works out really well, so it's kind of what I prefer to do. And then I just adhered my layers together, and you can see just the small layer there from the slate peeking out behind the colored piece. And I did trim off a little bit on each side to kind of keep the moon up in that top corner, which is where I wanted it. And then I laid everything out how I wanted it to be on the card. Now this card is going to turn out to be a little over the top. Yeah, I mean, you could have stopped when we hit the stars and everything and the glitter, but me being me and me thinking that everything should be super extra and super shiny, I couldn't resist adding some extra shimmer and shine, which I'll show you here in the end. And also, we're going to have a visit from some of my supervisors, which I think is going to be really fun when you guys see them pop up here in a minute. But I did cut that happy word down to a really small label. You can't really see what I'm doing here just because the arm of the trimmer is in the way, but I'll hold it up in the end so you can kind of see how small this turned out. And I thought that was just really cute. And I am going to add some foam squares to the back of it just to give it a little more dimension as well. And then I'm going to kind of put it on an angle over my Halloween word. So it says Happy Halloween, but it's kind of tilted, just adds a little more whimsy to the card, which I thought was kind of cute. And then, of course, because I can't leave anything alone, I am going to adhere down the stars first, and then we're going to get into the little bit of extra that you're going to see here in a sec. You know what? A card like this, it's so whimsical as it is that I kind of feel like you can kind of just add extra things, and it's not going to make it too much. I mean, at least I don't think so. I'm a more is more type crafter, though, so maybe some people wouldn't enjoy this, but I like how it turned out, so I'm pretty excited about it. So I brought in my, this is the Spectrum Noir glitter pen, and it's just a clear glitter, and I put it kind of all over a lot of the things, just because, I mean, why not? So I did the stars and her hat and her shirt, and then like the silvery parts on her broom and her hair and her little shoes. And then I also filled in all of the empty word, like the Halloween. It just kind of added something a little bit extra, which I thought was kind of neat. I did consider bringing in like glossy accents and adding that instead, but over the letters, but I ended up just going with the shimmer pen because I thought it was really pretty. And then of course I had to bring in some white highlights. I find that this just honestly gives life to the image. And now I'm not following any set of rules. I didn't do this how it would be because, I mean, she's in front of the moon, so technically she wouldn't have highlights in the areas that I put them in, but it's a whimsical card, and I like how it looks with the white highlights, so I just find it gives a lot more life to the image. And you'll see that here when I hold it up in the end. It's a little hard to see on camera there, but I like how that turned out. And I've had these little stars in my stash forever. I think I saw Amy R use them in a card, I don't even know, a year ago, 2 years ago, who knows. And this is, see, Supervisor. This is Supervisor number 3. Because 1's going to show up here in a little bit. 2 didn't make an appearance in this video, but he did. He had to come and check out the card. And luckily, he didn't tip over all my stars, so that was nice. But I have these little stars that are ridiculously shiny. And they're from, I got them from Simon Says Stamp, but they're Lucy's Little Things, or Little Things by Lucy, I think. I'll have them linked down below. And they're just stunning. They're so pretty. So I had to bring them in and use them. This is where, you know, it's getting extra. Like, you don't need all this bling, but if you have it, why not use it? And since I had that 6th star, I did want to adhere that on the inside so that I didn't lose it. And here's my Supervisor number 1. She's the one who turns up the most in my videos. And I left that in just so you guys could see them because I do get questions about my cats. So here I'm going to hold it up so you can check it out. Look at those stars. Aren't they like, oh, they're just so pretty. And this isn't even doing them justice. Like, they're so dang pretty. Oh, I love it. Oh, anyway, they're just, I'm still mesmerized by them even now. And I'm like, I could look at the physical card and I'm just watching the video as I voice over it. But yeah, this just, I love how this card turned out. I love the vibrant colors. I love the sky. I think that it's just a lot of fun. So I would love to hear what you guys think of this card, how you turned out. Do you make Halloween cards? Is that kind of your thing, or is that not really something you do either? I'd love if you'd leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye for now.